Let's start with the offense with Calcumanis running the controls. They've got playmakers back at wide receiver. They got to replace Kyle Monangai. They got a transfer running back, of course, coming in from FAU. And the offensive line looks stout and very experienced.
Yeah, so to touch on 2024, I think all Rutgers fans had really high hopes for the season, given how the schedule had played out, given the amount of talent we were returning. I think we had something like 80 plus percentage of snaps from the previous year coming back in 2024. It was just the injury apocalypse last year. 2023, Rutgers was incredibly fortunate where they only had like they had one of the least injured rosters in all of college football, and last year they had one of the most injured rosters in all of college football. So last year exposed for Rutgers was that you need useful depth throughout your roster, whereas in 2023 they didn't really need to use it. So what they did this offseason, they bolstered basically everywhere along their roster. In 2023, they added 8 transfers. This offseason, they added 19 transfers. So they really were very steadfast and learned a hard lesson in the offseason about not going into a season where you just hope nobody gets hurt. Now they have a backup at every position they could plug and play. They brought in 5 transfers along the offensive line, like you said, or you're talking about the stout offensive line. They're returning 4 or 5 starters, and they also have high level backups across the board as well. Let's talk about Ethan. This is his 4th year as a starting quarterback at the Big Ten level. His 3rd year with Kirk Soraka as his offensive coordinator. I think you're going to see the culmination of what he's built over the college career that he's had. If you look at what they were able to do once they got the O-line situation figured out last year, after their final bye, their 5 final opponents were against Minnesota, Maryland, Illinois, Michigan State, and Kansas State. They went 3-2 against those opponents. They scored 34 points per game. Before that point in the season against Power 4 opponents, they scored under 19 points per game. So they really started to open up the offense as the season went on. And I think they've gotten improvement at wide receiver across the board this year. So you have KJ Duff and Ian Strong coming back for their sophomore and junior seasons, respectively. And then you have a high level transfer in DT Sheffield, who was the first team all conference player from North Texas last year. He's going to be that kind of jack of all trades, speed merchant that Rutgers hasn't really had in a long time. So I do think that this passing game could be very dangerous. They also brought in a pass catching back in CJ Campbell. They haven't really had a legitimate threat from the running back position in the passing game in a very long time. He's a guy I think is kind of being slept on a little bit because Rutgers hasn't really shown the capability to get the ball to the running back in the passing game. But I do think he is an added dimension that Rutgers is going to utilize that is going to surprise some.
Excellent. Mike Broadbent joining us from Night Report podcast. And you can keep up with Rutgers football with Mike's Twitter handle as well that we've got posted there on the screen.